Have you ever trusted the wrong people with everything you've built? Given them keys to your life only to watch them burn it all down? My name is Elena Martinez, and this is the story of how my own family sold my company files to help me. Except those files were protected state evidence worth $800,000. And what they didn't just cost me money, it nearly cost me my freedom. It was September 3rd, 2024, a Tuesday morning. I was in a federal courthouse in downtown Chicago, sitting across from two FBI agents and a prosecutor I'd been working with for 8 months. I was a whistleblower. The evidence I'd gathered, financial records, emails, internal memos, proved massive fraud at my former employer, Quantum Tech Solutions. We're talking about $47 million in fake government contracts, falsified testing data, and kickbacks that went straight to the executive board. I'd risked everything to collect that evidence. My career, my safety, my relationships. The files were kept in a secure storage unit under federal protection, with only 3 people knowing the exact location. Me, my FBI handler, Agent Rodriguez, and my attorney, Marcus Chen. Or so I thought. My phone rang during a break in our meeting. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. Elena Martinez? A man's voice asked. Professional, cold. Yes? Who is this? My name is Kevin Hutchins. I'm an attorney representing Quantum Tech Solutions. We need to discuss a serious matter regarding stolen property you allegedly possess. My blood went cold. I don't know what you're talking about. Ms. Martinez? We have physical possession of documents that were illegally removed from Quantum premises. Documents that were recently sold to us by concerned parties who claimed you'd abandoned them. We were prepared to file criminal charges for theft of corporate property unless you agree to meet with us immediately. I couldn't breathe. Sold to them? Abandoned? That's impossible. Those files are in federal protection. Not anymore, Kevin interrupted smoothly. We acquired them 3 days ago from a storage facility in Oak Park. Your family was kind enough to help us recover them. They were quite worried about you, actually. Said you'd been acting erratically, that you needed help. They thought selling the files would force you to get the mental health treatment you clearly need. The room started spinning. My family. My own family had sold the evidence. Agent Rodriguez saw my face go white and immediately took the phone from my hand. This is FBI Special Agent Carlos Rodriguez. Who am I speaking with? His expression darkened as he listened. Mr. Hutchins, those documents are federal evidence in an ongoing investigation. If your client purchased them, they have committed obstruction of justice. We'll be in touch. He hung up and looked at me. Eleanor, how did they access the storage unit? My voice came out as a whisper. My sister. I gave my sister Maya the spare key 6 months ago, just in case something happened to me. She promised to never touch it unless I was dead or incapacitated. Call her Nath. I called Maya. She answered on the 4th ring, her voice cheerful. Too cheerful. Eleanor, oh my God, I've been meaning to call you. We did something amazing. What did you do? I interrupted, my voice shaking. What did you do with my storage unit? There was a pause. Then, defensively, we helped you, Eleanor. Mum, Dad, and I talked about it. You've been obsessed with this quantum thing for almost a year. You lost your job. You stopped coming to family events. We were worried you were having some kind of breakdown. So when that lawyer contacted us offering to buy the files and help get you treatment, we thought, you thought what? I was shouting now. That you could just sell federal evidence? Do you have any idea what you've done? We got $15,000 for those boxes of papers, Elena. We split it 3 ways. That's $5,000 each. We were going to use your share to pay for therapy. We were helping you. Those files were worth $800,000 in penalties and fines against Quantum. They were the only evidence proving a $47 million fraud scheme, and you sold them back to the criminals I was trying to expose. Silence. Then, in a small voice, we didn't know. How did you even access the unit? How did a lawyer from Quantum contact you? He found us on Facebook, sent a message saying you'd listed us as emergency contacts for the storage facility and that they were going to auction off the contents for non-payment. He offered to buy everything to save you the embarrassment. We thought we were doing the right thing. Agent Rodriguez took the phone again. Maya Martinez, this is the FBI. I need you, your parents, and any documentation of this transaction at the federal building in 2 hours. Do not contact the lawyer who purchased the files. Do not discuss this with anyone. Do you understand? I heard Maya start crying before the call ended. Marcus, my attorney, had been silent during all of this. Finally, he spoke. Eleanor, this is bad. Really bad. Without those files, the case against Quantum falls apart. And if they can prove your family acted as your agents in selling the evidence, you could be charged with obstruction. But I didn't do anything. I didn't know they'd... Doesn't matter. The burden of proof shifts once evidence disappears from federal custody. We need to figure out exactly what happened, how Quantum found your family, and whether we can get those files back. That's when I realized this wasn't an accident. Quantum had hunted down my family, manipulated them, used their love and concern for me as a weapon. And now my entire case, my entire life, was hanging by a thread. But what Quantum didn't know was that I'd made copies, insurance copies, hidden in a place they'd never think to look, and I was about to make them regret ever crossing me. To understand how this happened, you need to know about my family, the Martinez family. First-generation immigrants from Mexico who built a life in Chicago through hard work, sacrifice, and an unshakable belief in sticking together no matter what. My parents, Rosa and Miguel, ran a small restaurant for 30 years. They raised 3 kids, me, my younger sister, Maya, and our brother, Carlos, on tight budgets and big dreams. Family was everything. We had Sunday dinners every week without fail. We celebrated every birthday, every holiday, every tiny achievement together. But that closeness came with strings. My family didn't understand boundaries. They saw independence as rejection. When I moved out at 23 to take a software engineering job, my mother cried like I was abandoning them. When I bought my own apartment, instead of living with them to save money, my father didn't speak to me for 2 weeks. They loved me fiercely, but they also controlled me fiercely. Maya, my sister, was different. She was the good daughter, still lived at home at 29, worked at our parents' restaurant, talked to Mum 3 times a day. She'd never left Chicago, never pushed back, never wanted anything they didn't approve of first. And she resented me for it. Not openly, never openly, but I could feel it in her comments. Must be nice to have your fancy career. I guess some of us care more about family than money. Mom cries about you every night, you know. When I discovered the fraud at Quantum Tech, I didn't tell my family right away. I knew they wouldn't understand. I'd been a senior software engineer there for 5 years, making great money, working on government defense contracts. To them, I had the perfect job. Why would I risk it? But I couldn't ignore what I'd found. Falsified, testing data on military communication systems, shell companies receiving millions for work that was never done, executives taking kickbacks while selling defective equipment to the Pentagon. People's lives were at risk, soldiers depending on equipment that didn't work as promised, taxpayer money stolen by the millions. so I started collecting evidence. Carefully, methodically. Screenshots, downloaded files, printed emails. I documented everything for 6 months before contacting the FBI. That's when my life fell apart. Quantum figured out someone was gathering evidence. They started an internal investigation. They didn't know it was me yet, but they knew someone was leaking information. They put everyone under surveillance. They started firing people on pretext. They threatened legal action against anyone who defamed the company. I became paranoid. I moved the evidence to a secure storage unit. I stopped going to family dinners because I was terrified Quantum would follow me and put my family in danger. I lost weight. I stopped sleeping, and I was constantly looking over my shoulder. My family thought I was having a breakdown. "You're obsessed," Maya told me during one of our last conversations before everything exploded. "You need help, Elena. This isn't healthy. You don't understand what I'm dealing with." "Then explain it to me. You won't tell us anything. You just disappeared into this paranoid conspiracy theory world. Mom thinks you're on drugs. Dad thinks you've joined some kind of cult. I'm trying to expose a massive fraud. I'm trying to do the right thing." "The right thing?" Maya laughed bitterly. "The right thing is taking care of your family, being there when we need you, not chasing shadows and ruining your own life." I stopped trying to explain after that. I focused on the case. I worked with Agent Rodriguez and Marcus to build an airtight prosecution. We had everything we needed. The evidence was solid. The case was scheduled to go before a grand jury in October. But I made one critical mistake. I gave Maya that spare storage unit key. It was back in March, 6 months before everything fell apart. I'd just survived a car accident, minor but scary enough to make me think about mortality. I gave Maya the key in a sealed envelope with instructions. "Only open this if something happens to me. The code is Mom's birthday. Don't tell anyone you have this." She'd promised, sworn on our grandmother's memory, and then she betrayed me. Not out of malice, out of love, out of the suffocating, boundary-crushing love that my family called loyalty. They thought they were saving me. They thought selling those files would force me to stop my obsession and come back to the family. They thought 15,000 split 3 ways was a good deal. They had no idea they'd just handed a $47 million fraud case back to the criminals, and they had no idea what I was about to do to get it back. 2 hours after that phone call, my family sat in a federal building conference room, looking like they'd just realised they'd made a terrible mistake. Mum was crying. Dad sat stone-faced, refusing to look at me. Maya kept apologising, her voice breaking. Agent Rodriguez and 2 other agents listened as my family explained how it happened. Kevin Hutchins, the quantum lawyer, had contacted Maya through Facebook Messenger 3 weeks earlier. He'd claimed the storage facility sent a notice about unpaid fees and that the contents would be auctioned off unless someone paid. He said he was representing a concerned party who wanted to purchase the contents privately to save Eleanor embarrassment. "He was so nice," Maya insisted through tears. "He said you were going through something difficult and that this would help get you the treatment you needed. He offered 15,000 of cash. We thought we were helping." "Did he know what was in the boxes?" Agent Rodriguez asked. "He said they were old work files and personal papers. Nothing important. He just wanted to handle it discreetly so you wouldn't have to deal with it." Agent Rodriguez and Marcus exchanged looks. "So Quantum didn't know exactly what they were buying?" "Apparently not," Marcus said. "They were fishing. They knew Elena had gathered evidence, but they didn't know where it was or what specifically she had. They probably sent feelers out to anyone connected to her, hoping someone would take the bait." "And we did," Dad said quietly, his first words since arriving. "We fell for it. We gave them exactly what they wanted." I wanted to be angry. I wanted to scream at them. But looking at their faces, the guilt, the shame, the genuine horror at what they'd done. I just felt empty. The question now, Agent Rodriguez said, is whether we can use this to our advantage. I looked up. What do you mean? Quantum just committed multiple federal crimes. They purchased stolen evidence. They conspired to obstruct a federal investigation. They used fraudulent pretenses to access property under federal protection. If we play this right, we don't just get your files back, we bury them. Marcus leaned forward. You want to set them up? I want to give them exactly enough rope to hang themselves, Rodriguez replied. He turned to my family. Did Kevin Hutchins give you any documentation, receipts, contracts? Maya pulled out her phone. He made me sign a purchase agreement. I took a picture of it before he took the original. She showed us the document. It was damning, a clear agreement between Quantum Tech Solutions' legal department and Maya Martinez, acting on behalf of Elena Martinez, for the purchase of all materials contained in Storage Unit 247, Oak Park Self-Storage. Perfect, Rodriguez said with a cold smile. He documented the crime. Now, here's what we're going to do. Maya, you're going to call Kevin Hutchins back. You're going to tell him you made a mistake, that you looked through the boxes before selling them and kept a few items for sentimental value. You're going to offer to sell him those remaining items. But there are no remaining items, Maya protested. He doesn't know that. He'll panic. He'll either offer more money, proving he knows exactly what he bought, or he'll make threats. Either way, we record it. We use it as additional evidence of conspiracy and obstruction. And what about the actual files? I asked. The ones they already have? Marcus smiled. That's where your insurance policy comes in. Eleanor, you told me months ago you made backup copies of everything. Where are they? I hesitated. The truth was complicated. I made digital copies, encrypted, stored on 3 separate secure servers with deadman switches. If I don't log in every 72 hours, the files automatically get sent to 5 different news organizations and the SEC. Agent Rodriguez raised his eyebrows. That's actually brilliant. Why didn't you mention this before? Because I wasn't supposed to make copies. The FBI took custody of the physical evidence, but I kept the digital backup as insurance. If Quantum ever came after me, I wanted leverage. So we don't actually need the physical files back, Marcus realized. We just need to make Quantum think we do. We let them believe they've won, that they've successfully destroyed the evidence. Then we hit them with the digital copies in court. They can't claim attorney-client privilege or work product protection because they already admitted they purchased stolen property. A plan started forming in my mind, a dangerous plan. A plan that would either destroy Quantum completely or destroy me. There's something else, I said slowly. Quantum doesn't just have my files. They have a list of everyone who helped me gather evidence. 12 current and former employees who provided information. If Quantum figures out who they are from the files, those people are in danger. They could lose their jobs, face retaliation, get blacklisted from the industry. Agent Rodriguez's expression darkened. How much personal information is in those files? Names, email addresses, some had employee ID numbers, enough to identify them if someone looks carefully enough. Then we don't have a choice, Rodriguez said. We have to recover the physical files before Quantum's legal team starts digging through them. And we have to do it in a way that doesn't alert them to the digital backups. How? I asked. We go old school. We execute a search warrant tonight, before Quantum has time to hide the files or destroy evidence. We hit their legal office, their executives' homes, anywhere they might have stored your materials. We move fast and hard. They'll fight it, Marcus warned. Quantum has powerful lawyers. They'll claim attorney work product. They'll claim they can't claim privilege on stolen evidence, Rodriguez interrupted. Not once we prove they knowingly purchased materials taken from federal custody. Judge Martinez owes me a favor. I can have warrants signed within 2 hours. He looked at my family. Maya, Rosa, Miguel, you're going to cooperate fully with this investigation. You're going to testify about how Kevin Hutchins approached you, how he misrepresented the situation, how he used your concern for Elena to manipulate you into committing a federal crime. In exchange, we'll recommend minimal charges. Probably probation, maybe a fine. Dad stood up, his voice firm. We'll do whatever it takes to fix this. We made a mistake. We'll make it right. Mom grabbed my hand. Mija, I'm so sorry. We just wanted you to come home. I looked at her, at all of them, and felt the anger finally break through. You wanted me to come home? You sold the most important thing in my life for 15,000 euros and told yourself it was love. Do you have any idea what you've cost me? What you've cost those 12 people who trusted me? They could lose everything because you couldn't respect my boundaries for 5 minutes. The room went silent. Maya was sobbing openly now. Dad looked like he'd aged 10 years. Mum just held my hand tighter, tears streaming down her face. We'll fix it, she whispered. I swear to you, Mija, we'll fix it. I pulled my hand away. You can start by staying out of my life until I'm ready to let you back in. As I walked out of the conference room, I heard Maya call after me. Elena, please. I didn't turn around. There would be time for forgiveness later. Maybe. Right now, I had a company to destroy and evidence to recover, and I was going to enjoy every single minute of it. At 11:47 p.m. that same night, 6 FBI vehicles converged on 4 locations simultaneously: Quantum Tech's main office, Kevin Hutchins' law office, CEO Richard Voss's home, and CFO Jennifer Park's apartment. I wasn't allowed to participate in the raids, but Agent Rodriguez called me from outside Quantum's headquarters at 12:23 a.m. I could hear shouting in the background, car alarms, chaos. We got them, he said simply. They'd already started going through the files, spread them out across a conference room table, had 3 lawyers and 2 Quantum executives reviewing everything when we came through the door. The looks on their faces. Elena, it was beautiful. I felt a surge of vindication so powerful I had to sit down. Did they find the witness list? Not yet. They were still cataloguing materials. We got there before they identified anyone beyond you. Your people are safe. What about Hutchins? Lawyered up immediately. But we found the purchase agreement, wire transfer receipts, and communications between him and Quantum's executive team. They documented everything. It's like they didn't think they'd ever get caught. Arrogance, I said. They've been getting away with fraud for so long, they thought they were untouchable. Well, they're very touchable now. We arrested Hutchins, Voss, and Park. 3 more executives are being picked up as we speak. The US attorney is filing charges in the morning. Obstruction of justice, conspiracy, theft of federal evidence, and we're adding wire fraud for the original Quantum scheme. I should have felt relief, victory, but all I felt was exhausted. What happens now? Now you rest. Tomorrow we prep for grand jury testimony. The indictments are coming down fast, probably within a week. With the physical evidence recovered and your digital backups as insurance, this case is airtight. After we hung up, I sat alone in my apartment and cried. Not from sadness, from the sheer weight of 8 months of fear, paranoia, and fighting finally lifting off my shoulders. But there was still one more thing I needed to do. The next morning, I drove to my parents' house. Maya opened the door, her eyes red and swollen from crying. Eleanor, I need to talk to all of you, I said. Is everyone here? They gathered in the living room. The same living room where we'd celebrated birthdays, holidays, Sunday dinners. Now it felt like foreign territory. I sat across from them and spoke carefully. Agent Rodriguez told me this morning that because you cooperated immediately and were clearly manipulated by Quantum's legal team, the US attorney is recommending no jail time, probation, community service, and a fine split between the three of you. Maybe $5,000 total. Relief flooded their faces. Dad started to speak, but I held up my hand. But here's what you need to understand. You didn't just sell my files. You sold my trust. You made a decision about my life without asking me, without respecting my choices. You decided that your judgment was more important than mine. We were worried, Mum started. I don't care. I interrupted, my voice hard. You don't get to make decisions for me because you're worried. I'm not a child. I'm not incompetent. I'm a grown woman who is doing something incredibly difficult and dangerous, and you undermined it because you couldn't stand that I wasn't living the life you wanted for me. Maya was crying again. We just wanted you to be safe, to come home. I was safe. I had FBI protection. I had a plan. I had everything under control until you decided to help me. And you know what the worst part is? You didn't sell those files because you thought I was in danger. You sold them because you were angry that I wasn't prioritizing family. This was punishment disguised as concern. The silence was deafening because they knew I was right. Finally, Dad spoke. His voice was thick with emotion. You're right. All of it. We've been angry at you for years, for leaving, for building a life that didn't revolve around us, for not needing us the way we needed you to need us. He looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time in months. I'm sorry, Mija, not just for selling the files, for all of it. For trying to keep you small so we could feel important. I hadn't expected that. Hadn't expected actual accountability instead of excuses. Mum reached for my hand again, and this time I let her take it. How do we fix this? She asked softly. Therapy, I said. All of us. Family therapy, individual therapy. We learn what healthy boundaries look like. We learn to respect each other's choices even when we don't understand them. And I learn to communicate instead of shutting you out when things get hard. And if we do that, Maya asked hopefully, can we come back from this? I looked at my sister. The sister who'd betrayed me out of love, hurt me, trying to help me, nearly destroyed my life because she couldn't let me live it on my own terms. I don't know, I said honestly, but I'm willing to try. Are you? They all nodded. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a start. The federal grand jury indicted 7 quantum tech executives in October 2024. The charges were extensive: fraud, obstruction of justice, conspiracy, wire fraud, and theft of federal property. The evidence was overwhelming. Richard Voss, the CEO, tried to play it cool at first. His lawyers issued statements about misunderstandings and overzealous prosecution. But when the US attorney held a press conference and displayed some of my evidence, the falsified testing data, the shell company payments, the kickback records, Quantum's stock dropped 43% in one day. Kevin Hutchins, the lawyer who'd manipulated my family, tried to cut a deal. He claimed he didn't know the files were federal evidence, that Quantum had lied to him too. But the communications we recovered showed he knew exactly what he was doing. He'd bragged in an email to Richard Voss, found a pressure point through the sister. Family dynamics are always the easiest vulnerability to exploit. Reading that email made me physically sick. They'd researched my family, identified Maya as the weak link, crafted a manipulation strategy specifically designed to use my family's love against me. The trial started in January 2025. I testified for 2 days. It was brutal. Quantum's defense attorneys tried to paint me as a disgruntled employee with an axe to grind. They questioned my motives, my mental health, my character. But then Marcus put my family on the stand. Maya testified about how Kevin Hutchins had contacted her, how he'd used her worry about me to manipulate her into betraying me, how he'd called it helping while orchestrating a federal crime. Mum testified about family pressure, about how they'd been taught that family loyalty meant controlling each other instead of trusting each other. And Dad testified about the moment he realised they'd been used. That lawyer looked at my daughter like she was a problem to solve, Dad said, his voice breaking. Not a person to respect, and I helped him. I'll regret that for the rest of my life. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. They came back with guilty verdicts on all counts for all 7 defendants. Richard Voss got 12 years in federal prison. CFO Jennifer Park got 8 years. Kevin Hutchins got 5 years for obstruction and conspiracy. The other executives got sentences ranging from 2 to 6 years. Quantum Tech Solutions was fined $89 million, ordered to pay restitution, and essentially destroyed. They filed for bankruptcy 3 months later. The company that had stolen $47 million from taxpayers was gone. But the victory came with a price. I'd won the case. I'd exposed the fraud. I'd protected the 12 witnesses who'd helped me. But I'd lost almost a year of my life to fear and paranoia. I'd damaged my relationship with my family in ways that would take years to fully repair. And I'd learned that doing the right thing doesn't guarantee you'll come out unscathed. The whistleblower reward from the SEC came to $4.2 million. It was more money than I'd ever imagined having. But it felt hollow somehow, like I'd traded pieces of my soul for a dollar amount. I gave $100,000 to each of the 12 witnesses who'd helped me gather evidence. They'd risked everything. And while they hadn't been exposed, they deserved to be compensated for their courage. I put $500,000 in a trust for my parents to help them retire. They tried to refuse it. "We don't deserve your generosity after what we did," Mum said. "This isn't generosity," I replied. "This is me setting a boundary. You get to retire comfortably, and in exchange, you don't get a say in how I live my life. Deal?" They took the deal. I gave Maya $200,000 to start her own business, a catering company she'd always dreamed of, but never pursued because she was too busy working at our parents' restaurant. "Use this to build your own life," I told her. "Stop living theirs." She hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. "I'll make you proud," she whispered. "I just want you to be happy," I said. That's all I've ever wanted for any of us. The rest of the money, I invested. I started a nonprofit helping whistleblowers navigate the legal system and providing financial support while their cases move through the courts. Because I learned firsthand how difficult it is to do the right thing when you're fighting powerful people who want to destroy you. I called it the Martinez Justice Fund. My family came to the launch event. We took a photo together, the first family photo we'd taken in almost 2 years. We looked different in that picture. Older, worn, but also stronger, more honest, like we'd finally figured out that loving each other didn't mean controlling each other. It's been almost a year since my family sold my files to Quantum. A year since I thought my entire life was over. A year since I learned what betrayal really feels like when it comes from the people who love you most. People ask me all the time, "Do you regret becoming a whistleblower? Was it worth it?" The answer is complicated. I don't regret exposing the fraud. Those falsified testing results on military equipment could have gotten soldiers killed. That $47 million in stolen taxpayer money could have funded schools, healthcare, infrastructure. Quantum Tech Solutions was a parasite feeding on our country, and they deserve to be shut down. But I do regret not trusting my family enough to tell them what I was doing. I shut them out completely because I was afraid they wouldn't understand. And that silence, that distance, created the vulnerability that Quantum exploited. If I could go back, I'd do one thing differently. I'd communicate. I'd sit my family down and explain, I'm doing something dangerous but important. I can't tell you details for your safety, but I need you to trust that I know what I'm doing. Can you do that? Maybe they would have. Maybe they would have respected my choices if I'd given them the chance to prove they could. Or maybe not. Maybe the outcome would have been the same. But at least I would have tried. Here's what I learned from all of this. First, family love can be toxic when it crosses boundaries. My family thought they were saving me. They thought controlling my choices was the same as protecting me. But real love means trusting people to make their own decisions, even when you don't agree with them. Second, doing the right thing is expensive. Not just financially, but emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. Whistleblowing costs you relationships, peace of mind, security. Anyone who tells you it's easy is lying, but some things are worth the cost. Third, forgiveness isn't the same as forgetting. I've forgiven my family for what they did. We're rebuilding our relationship slowly, carefully, with clear boundaries and open communication. But I'll never forget that moment when Agent Rodriguez told me my files had been sold. That betrayal changed me permanently. And finally, justice takes time. The legal system moves slowly. The emotional healing moves even slower. But if you hold on, if you keep fighting, if you refuse to let the people who hurt you define your story, you can win. Not in the Hollywood sense where everything magically becomes perfect, but in the real sense where you look back and realize you survived. You fought back. You exposed the truth, and you became stronger for it. My family sold my company files to help me. They were protected state evidence worth $800,000. They nearly destroyed the biggest fraud case in federal court that year. But in the end, we recovered the evidence. We won the case. We destroyed Quantum Tech Solutions. And we rebuilt our family into something healthier than it ever was before. So if you're facing a similar choice, whether to speak up about something wrong, whether to trust the people around you, whether to fight or walk away, here's my advice. Trust your gut. Protect yourself. Document everything. And remember that the right choice isn't always the easy one, but it's always worth fighting for. Doing the right thing has a cost, but silence has a higher one. Family love must include respect for boundaries, and justice, while slow and painful, is always worth pursuing, even when the people you trust most betray you.